All right. So we ready?
Yep.
Ready? Cool, man. Well, Brad, thanks so much for being here in Creative Experience Podcast. Such a pleasure having you. Just to kind of like make it quick and short, you are one of our previous guests' brother, Mr. Justin Vidal. But now we have here Mr. Brad Vidal. Am I saying that right? Vidal?
Honestly, I don't know. I said Vidal my whole life, but I think it's Vidal.
I think so, right? I'm Hispanic, so I the A is Vidal.
Right.
But I know your mom says it's a little bit different, Vidal or something like that. But okay. Software engineer, traveler, YouTuber, musician. You actually play the keyboard, have collaborated with Justin in some of his songs as well that he's produced, right?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Anything else I'm missing?
Let's see. I don't know. I have a lot of interesting hobbies. So we'll see if those come up. But that rounds it up.
Cool, man. Well, creative experience is all about telling your story, things that we can learn, for the listeners can actually learn anything that you want to kind of put out there. You can share as much as you want or as little. But I tell this to all my guests every single time I do an episode, I actually learn something new from everybody. And it's really nice because then I can take it and I apply it to my life, and hopefully the listeners get the same kind of perspective as well, but, yeah, man, the floor is yours. So whatever you want to start with, I know you do a little bit of everything, but tell me your story, man. Like, how does all this, going from wearing so many hats, software engineer, YouTuber, traveler, all these things, how does that form Brad? Like, how does it get to that point?
Sure. Yeah. So I think that my story became more interesting in the most recent years, but it all kind of built up. So I went to school for math, got my bachelor's in applied mathematics. And during school, I was required to do some very basic programming, just enough to do math equations many, many times.
Bro, but math, to go into math and get a bachelor's in math, that's out there, bro. I unless you're going to become a teacher, I really haven't heard anybody who's like, oh yeah, or maybe, okay, yeah, well, I'll go work for NASA or something like that, but math is pretty out there. So you're pretty good with numbers.
I always excelled with math. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I always thought being a teacher would be a really fun way to keep my mind fresh when I was older, but it's not what I wanted to do for a career. But I think at the time, I just kind of thought, if I do something with math, I'll make a lot of money. That was kind of my mindset when I was younger.
Yeah.
So I went with math. I thought that it would be good, I guess. And then later that turned into software. So because of those classes I had to take where I was doing very basic programming, I started learning a little bit more on my own. My dad was running a company and he saw that I was very interested. So he was like, hey, well, why don't you come work for us? So he hired me on as a web developer. And from there, I just started learning more and more. So later I graduated with a bunch of software experience and my math degree. And it was actually pretty easy for me to find a role. So I graduated and I ended up getting a software engineer role at a very small company. And I ended up being there for 9 years, not the whole time as an engineer.
But yeah. It was a good chunk of time that you were there, and you kind of moved up, right?
Right, yeah. So I was an engineer at that company for 3 years, and then 3 years later, I was promoted to a software engineering manager. So at that point, I was managing teams of engineers, test analysts, automation testers, designers, and working very close with the product team, the support team, UX, just all of the software space. Which
is a pretty well-paid gig. Software engineers, I know from experience, before I started my own production company, I was working for a startup, a fintech, based off of San Francisco, Silicon Valley. And their whole thing, we had developers all the time, but they're so sought out after that we would have them for 6 months and then they would already be going up somewhere else because they were getting paid more money. They were being headhunted, right? They were just recruited. And so it was so hard for the company to continuously keep somebody for the long term. And again, I know even today, to this day, software engineers are still, very, very sought after. Especially with everything that we have going on now with AI and all these companies that are coming up, and being such a big part of everything that we're doing now.
Yeah, it's a really interesting field because anyone can do it. All the resources are online for free, and you can just go on YouTube, you can go on Udemy and just learn what you need to do and then go apply for a job. So it's very competitive for that reason. But I stayed at my company for so long because they kind of grew me into what I was. They gave me a bunch of opportunities. I didn't have the traditional degree in computer science. But they were able to basically say, okay, take your time and learn this. I would learn it. And because I was able to perform after that, they'd give me more opportunities. And that's what kind of like turned me into what I was today.
Which I'm sure the experience that you got with working with your father also, kind of helped you, because then you're already graduated and already having some type of web developing experience, just makes the transition easier.
Yeah, that gave me the kickstart for sure.
Right. So cool. I think there's a beauty there though. You go for math, not exactly knowing what you're going to do with that. And then taking one of these classes again for, what was it, basic level?
Yeah, some kind of operations research. I don't even remember, to be honest.
Right. But that is what basically triggered everything for it to start trickling down to where you are kind of at now, or kind of give you your start to figure out what you wanted to do, right?
Yep, totally.
Which is a huge thing, because a lot of people don't know what they're going to do, even when they're in college. And just having one of those little classes come up and it's like, oh, like this might be something I actually want to pursue, right? It's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool for even, I'm telling you, my son, he is younger, he's 14, but he's still not sure exactly what he wants to do. So he listens to all these things, and it kind of makes him realize that somewhere along the line, it's okay to be lost until you're not.
That's so cool.
Sometimes it takes a little longer than other. Some people already know from the beginning what they're gonna do, and some others take a little longer to figure it out. But it's still pretty cool.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really cool that your kids are able to like consume that. I remember when I was there was one time I was in a hot tub at like a resort or something.
Yeah.
And like these kids that were probably like in middle school came in, and we were talking to them. They were really interested in our careers, and we're like, whoa, these kids care about this. And they were like, well, I'm interested in these things. And so my parents were telling me that we could go into all these different fields. So I've been thinking about and I was like, what? How are you thinking about this at such a young age? And I was jealous of that. I really admired the fact that they were, I guess, telling them to think about these things, because I did not think about that when I was young.
No, me neither. I think I don't know. My dad actually had a bachelor's. He was a very successful businessman, but he never shared with me secrets like that. And I think I'm not saying it comes down to blaming the parents, but you don't know what you don't know. And I think sometimes we can figure some things out in life based on the information that we receive and how we process it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes we just don't care. Also, kids, some kids care more than others, and it's just one of those things. I guess part of growing up.
Right.
Cool. So you go through college, you do a little web developing with your father. You then get a job, which you almost did a whole decade there, and it seems like you were, to me, right, up until this point, I'm like, okay, you have figure it out. I mean, 9 years in a company is a long time.
Yeah. That's my entire adult life, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy what happened after that, because I felt like I was successful. And my definition of success for most of my life has just been make a lot of money. That way life is easy and I can kind of be happy and enjoy life with other people. That enabled me to go skydiving, go scuba diving, like everything I wanted to do, I could say yes to and kind of pursue it and be okay. But what I think I realized in recent years is that I was stressed at my job. Even though I was performing well, I don't think I was happy. And it's because I was in meetings all day, and it no longer was the work I like to do. So that's why I'm actually switching back to being an engineer again. But to me, I actually took a break, and I didn't know how long the break would be. I kind of just made that realization, quit my job, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go travel because that's what I love to do, and then I'll figure everything out later. So I came to realize that instead of actually like working for happiness, I felt like I was actually working for someone else. And I would love to build something where I'm able to work for myself. And basically, I don't want to be giving my time to someone else.
Yeah.
To me, instead of having money, I care more about having time. So I'm working really hard now. That way I think that's an investment that will turn into more time that I have later.
Yeah, no, I love that, because the one commodity you touched on it, the one commodity you can never get more of or less of is time, right?
Yeah.
It's the one thing that when you lose it, it's done. You don't get it back. So it's pretty cool that you have that concept already in your head and that you figured that part out, because I think a lot of people think about it from a money standpoint, which, look, man, let's be real. Money makes the world go around.
Totally.
We do have bills to pay, responsibilities to take care of, and stuff like that. But let me push back a little bit here.
Sure.
You, as a software engineer and then managing a group of software engineers, I'm sure at a young age, right, you're making a good amount of money.
Yeah.
Right. So with that being so young and having that money and saying yes to everything, I mean, does money buy happiness basically?
That caused a lot of problems for me, to be honest.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, that caused me a lot of problems. I think that growing up, I sort of was trained to think a certain way. Like my family, we used to go out to sushi dinners twice a week.
Love sushi, man.
Oh gosh, me too. It's definitely top of my list.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would go out, we do a bunch of vacations, and I was sort of trained like, oh, cool, I can live and like do all this really cool stuff. So once I was independent, I was making good money. So I was continuing that. I was going out. I got my scuba certification and my skydiving. I was almost getting my skydiving license in the same year. And it was just like underwater, up in a plane, like all over the place.
Dude, you were all over the place, literally.
Yeah. I mean, in addition to that, if I want to learn how to sew, I buy a sewing machine. If I want to snowboard, I have like 4 snowboards. And I'm not trying to brag here, but this is just when I'm passionate about something, I go all in and I want all the correct gear, all the right equipment, and to do it right. But as a result, I found myself in debt. And this was a big problem for me, man.
So you're not telling me that you weren't the guy, even though you're so analytical, you have a degree in a bachelor in math. I mean, no savings, no nothing. You were just spending it as it came.
Yeah. I mean, like I would keep a savings. So I think I told myself that I was okay for like a small emergency fund. And at the same time, I have like $30,000 of debt.
Oh my God.
And it was like as a math guy, I'd sit down and be like, okay, time to budget. So I'd hop on Excel, create this budget, create a plan. And then a month later, I'm like, oh, I have more debt than I had last month.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it was a real problem for me.
How long did that go for?
I'm going to say, probably like 5 years.
Holy crap. Okay. Yeah. And then how much did you want to share how much you ended up kind of like being in the hole?
Yeah. At the most, I was around, I think just over $30,000.
Yeah. That's a good chunk of money, man.
And it's crazy to me that I was making good money, like more than anyone at my age that I knew.
Right.
And I still had a ton of debt. So yeah, I had to make a lot of, there were many times where I tried to make a change and I tried to budget, but I think that's the extent of what I would do. But there was a point in my life where I decided that I actually needed to do something because my friends were buying houses, they were having kids, and I had this realization that it was time to do something about it.
It's so crazy. Sometimes it takes for you to actually see, because you know how to do it. I mean, I'm sure you'll continue telling your story, but you have to see other people to kind of see where am I at? How come they're moving forward and I'm not?
Exactly.
Right? Because I know my younger brother, he's about 26 years old right now, and he's still trying to figure that part out. He has a passion. He's kind of one of those. He kind of reminds me a little bit about you in the sense of when he's passionate about something, he goes like all gung ho about it. Like he's really like passionate. I'll give you an example. Last year, and he'll correct me, I think he went to, I want to say 50 concerts.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And when we did the calculation as to how much he had spent, mind you, VIP, traveling, all that stuff, I think it was close to $20,000 he spent just last year.
Wow.
Just in going, but he's passionate. He loves, it's like a natural high for him being in the crowd and the concert and, and all that good stuff. Well, this year, he was just here a couple of days ago and we were talking, and he told me at the beginning of the year, oh yeah, I'm going to budget this year. I'm not going to spend as much money. So I'm going to go see bands that don't cost as much, no VIP experience, but he's still traveling here and there. He told me he's done 30 concerts so far this year. And he has 90 altogether booked for the year.
90?
90, bro. And so he's going to, he's... Yeah, man, he's a little out there. So you talk about passion, right? I mean, but on the side, he's trying to save up to buy a house and do all these things. So yeah, everybody grows out at their own rate, I think.
It's true.
That's just, what it comes down to. You can, he always tells me, you can take a horse, to drink water, but, you can't force him, unless you drown the guy, the thing. But yeah, man. So, I mean, it kind of reminds me in that aspect of kind of like what you were mentioning.
Sure. Yeah, that's really crazy.
yeah. But I mean, talk about scuba certification and then skydiving certification.
So.
That's pretty out there too. I mean, might as well be. You just needed to become a pilot too.
Right?
Pilot
Take
license.
it to the max.
Yeah,
definitely didn't do that, but that sounds fun. That sounds fun.
All right, so $30,000 in the hole.
Yeah. Okay.
So what happens, man?
So at one point, I started doing a lot of research on YouTube, and this is actually something that's very I've realized is very definitive of me now. Is I YouTube only educational content, And I do it for many different aspects of my life. So finance is the first one, but I do it for cooking. I do it for exercise, for travel, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But basically, I started getting into investing videos, budgeting videos, and that turned into a bunch of crypto stuff. I built like a $20,000 mining rig a few years later.
Nice.
That's a whole thing.
Whoa.
I had to learn about like electricity and stuff. But anyway, back to that. So I was learning so much about finance that I realized I needed to make a few lifestyle decisions. I think one of the biggest ones was that I realized that I need to not be private. I need to not hold in this problem because what I was doing wasn't working. I started telling my friends, the people I trusted, how much money I make, how much debt I have. And it actually, first of all, it was really nice to just like release that burden and like just talk about it. That helped me a lot. But from that, I was able to learn other people's experiences. I felt like it was like taboo to talk about money. But once I did, I learned, oh, these other people have debt too. What are they doing about it? Oh, they had the same problem. They got out of debt. How did you do it? Right?
Yeah.
So there's all kinds of things. I ended up stopped using credit cards. I was like, I'm using credit cards because I'm getting rewards points, but I wouldn't pay it off.
Right.
So I just stopped carrying credit cards and stopped like my Amazon account and everything. But one big change that I made was I felt very proud about living on my own for so long. I actually decided to go back and get roommates, and I was saving like $1,200 a month by doing that.
Yeah.
And that was a huge help. But in addition to that, I was doing extra budgeting and small things where I just don't buy as much. And not only would I just tell myself I'm not going to buy as much, I would actually like create financial safeguards. So for example, instead of having one checking account and no credit cards that I'm able to use, I have a separate checking account that my direct deposit goes into. And then I have an automatic transfer of a certain amount. So with this as my debit card now, I'm now living paycheck to paycheck, like in a structured way that I've set up. And then all the other money that I make is going off to paying off debt, savings, emergency savings, travel funds. And that basically just enforced that I would follow the rules that I wanted to follow.
Yeah, which is actually pretty cool. And you know, those safeguards actually help you because then you're budgeting yourself to actually just go based off of the balance that you have in that one specific checking account for, you know, what you want, right? Because there's wants and needs. And sometimes it's kind of hard to, separate those two things.
Yeah. And if I decide I want something and I'm ready to buy it and I don't have the budget in my main card, I would have to either go through the motions of connecting that card, which I was like, no, I shouldn't do that, or transfer the money from what's supposed to be my savings. And that's like, that'll take a couple of days to move over. So it'll stop me from those impulsive purchases.
Yeah. And you know, not to go down a rabbit hole, but it also acts, in a way, it acts as a safeguard because if your direct deposit goes into one account and then automatically transfers to that one account that you're only spending, you're not putting, from a fraud perspective, you're not putting that debit card that you're using so much, to touch all the money that comes in, from your direct deposit, stuff like that. Yeah. So it's a good safeguard and good, I guess fraud prevention, if you want to call it that way as well. But that's pretty cool. So all this learned through YouTube.
Yeah, I'm going to say, yeah.
Because the information's out there.
Yeah, the information's out there. There's some things like I would have conversations about people like investing. What is like compound interest? And then I would go to YouTube and learn more and more about it.
Yeah.
So that led into me realizing that so first of all, I managed to make all these changes and I paid off that 30 grand in 1 year.
That's crazy.
I was so proud of myself. Like I was counting down the days. I had a debt-free date that I calculated when I first made the changes. I was like, if I do all this correctly, within 1 year, I should be able to be debt-free. Mm-hmm. And I did it. And I was like, oh my God, it feels so good.
It's the vision, bro. You have the vision, you have it, right in front of you. And if you consistently continue at it, I mean, it's gonna, it gets, but 1 year, 30,000, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, but it goes with those changes that you actually did, right?
Yeah. I had to make a bunch of drastic changes and it worked. So I was super happy about that.
But that's the beauty about it. I mean, as long as it works and you got out of it, and then I'm assuming you learned a lot of it, a lot from it.
Yeah. So I learned so much from it, and it was all from YouTube, that I decided I need to be sharing this with people. So I decided to start my own YouTube channel. So alongside now switching from paying off debt to savings, I wanted to start a YouTube channel and like literally share all the stuff I learned about credit cards, about just budgeting, about savings, and how you apply that to travel. Like there's so much to it.
Yeah.
There's so much to it.
You were telling me though, so I guess let me backtrack here. You pay off all your debt. You're debt free. 30,000. I mean, it's a car, bro. It's a down payment to a house. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Did you go back to using credit cards?
Yes,
And?
but for good reason. For good
tell
reason.
me.
I have 12 credit cards. I have an 819 credit score. I check it like twice a week.
Are you the guy from the points guy?
I follow the points guy. I follow Ask Sevi. Yeah, I watch all those channels. Yeah, more so before. But basically, I have a huge variety of credit cards, and that's to boost my credit score and have like a higher credit amount available.
Yeah.
And that just helps my score. That way, if I buy a house later or like buy other things, then I have very good credit.
Are you using mostly rewards credit cards, or what are you using?
All rewards. Yeah. So SoFi is my favorite one.
Tell me about
2% on everything.
Okay.
It's very basic.
Cashback or
2% cashback.
Okay.
Yeah. I started with travel. So I started with the Chase trifecta is what they call it. There's two 0 annual fee Chase cards. One of them is really complicated to use, but like it has a quarterly bonus. The other one is like 1.5 on everything, which my SoFi card has replaced. But the cool thing is you pair that with one of their like top tier cards. I have the Sapphire Reserve, which is a travel card.
Love that card.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. So I actually, now that I've been traveling a lot, I take advantage of the airport lounges.
That's a game changer, bro.
It's so nice.
It's so just alone, just having that is such a good perk.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. Because I'll be like, I have all these weird stuff going on with my travel. So I'll end up in an airport. I was in Japan airport for 28 hours.
Whoa.
Wait. No, that's wrong. I was in that airport transaction. So I was in Indonesia in an airport, flew to Japan, and then I had to wait there an additional 8 hours. And that total was 28 hours.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
But being able to go to the lounges there for free was like free food. I could have a couple drinks. There's like nice tables and it's comfortable. So I pull out my laptop and I can edit YouTube videos. And I'm like, this isn't so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a good way to kill time too. You know,
Yeah.
you're being productive.
Yeah. But with that credit card, I get 1.5 times on all the points between all the Chase cards. So all those other ones I can transfer to this. And now all of a sudden I get a bunch of free flights.
So if anybody's looking for anybody for advice, you know, in regards to credit cards, this is the guy. So no, that's pretty cool. But again, learning all this through YouTube, right?
Oh,
I mean, because the
gosh.
information is out there, bro. I mean, that's the crazy part about it. I mean, this is going to be on YouTube, you know, this is on Spotify, you know, and this is a podcast, for example. But, you know, okay, these walls, they're wood, they're painted, they're whatever. I looked it up on YouTube, how to create a wall, how to go buy 2x4s and plywood.
Cool, by the way.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. But it was all done from there. I've never done woodwork, bro. Like I was telling your brother the same thing. Like I've never, you know, cut wood and all that stuff. But, you know, like you look it up, you see the tools that you need and you can do it. I mean, it's so crazy, the world that we live in now, that you can literally cut cost in you know, in that regard, because I didn't have to hire somebody to come and build this for me. I could just do it myself by looking at the instructions.
Yep.
You know, and having the visual instructions, because YouTube is that visual manual that, you know, we always wanted. I remember being a kid, bro, and having to read instructions. Don't ask me why. I'm just so bad at understanding, because sometimes they use words that are, you know, the vocabulary is maybe it's not there, or I just couldn't comprehend it.
Sure.
And it was like, what the heck is that? You know?
But with YouTube, you have someone speaking it to you and you can watch 5 different people say the same thing. And one of those might work for you.
Yeah. And it's the same thing with, you know, like anybody who travels, you know, like you were mentioning, right? If you actually record yourself and put that out there, then it's pretty cool, because again, it's a guideline. If you ever want to travel, you can go and try this and you can actually take a peek at what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive.
That's great. Yeah. One of my best performing videos right now is my train ride from Bangkok into Cambodia. And it cost 48 baht, which is about $1.25.
Crazy.
For a 5-hour train ride. But I structured it in a way that was instructional. So I get to the train station, I tell them what this train station is and how to find it. And then I got all these people, and I take the train, and I topped into like a tuk-tuk and all this stuff. But so many people reached out to me on that in the comments asking like specifics, like, do you recommend this? Should I go as a female traveler? Like all this stuff. And that like is I think a really good point, because along the lines of like talking to people about your finances, I think you can apply that to everything.
Yeah.
Because you can't just, like if you're just consuming information, sure, that might help you. But when you engage in a community, so like if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, you can leave a comment and ask a question.
Right.
And now all of a sudden you have these extra resources and you can get specific answers to specific questions.
Yeah.
And these tools and communities are amazing.
Yeah, but I think they're underutilized. I think most of the time,
I agree.
Because of what you're saying, people maybe just don't want to ask the question, or don't think that they'll get a response from the actual, you know. And most of the time, whenever I see the comments, people asking question, the person who, you know, is the YouTuber in this case, or who's in charge of the channel, most of the time they reply.
Yeah.
There's always a reply, you know, and it could. I've seen videos, you know, for video editing, right? Again, I go to YouTube, and if there's something specifically that I want to kind of like edit, a certain style or what have you, I go look it up, and there are some videos that are 4 years old, easy, you know?
Oh yeah, and they'll still respond.
And they'll still respond. They'll still be like, oh, a month ago, like, and then there it is. You know, there's a response to it. So you're absolutely right. They're underutilized tools, I think, for the instructions that are already out there for free, which is the crazy part. It's absolutely free, right?
Yep. And all you do is just you search it up, and then you can just get answers. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, so it's dude, it's pretty impressive all the stuff that we've covered so far because it's crazy. So you started your own channel doing the finance thing. You learn a little bit about it yourself, and then you kind of just wanted to spread the information, right? You kind of just wanted to start putting it out there because it would help somebody just the same way it helped you.
Yeah, to be totally honest, that channel didn't do very well. Okay. I think I got to like 500 subscribers, and I was doing it for, I don't know, maybe a year. But I learned so much along the way. I got some camera gear. I learned about the planning process and like just research and SEO. And then I learned about just talking in front of a camera. Like sitting here would have been so scary to me like a couple years ago. Yeah. And just hearing my own voice and stuff like that. But then shooting, recording, all the camera settings, like all the auxiliary equipment that you might need, and then editing, man. I love editing, and I spend so much time editing. Yeah. But I love it. I love it.
So editing is the creative process that, you know, that you have to really make a piece of art, whatever you want to make it, because anybody can grab a camera really and just try to film something. But if you can actually make a really cool piece on the edits, it's like post, right? Like that's really where it happens, I think. Obviously a lot goes into the camera. Sure. I don't want to discredit people like videographers and stuff like that.
No, but I learned so much about what you can do with the video once I started doing it, because like you can take just like if you just go and record yourself talking and you watch it back, it's so boring. I mean, not something like this where you have like interaction, but if I'm out by myself, unless you have some kind of plan or a story, I personally don't want to just watch that. But once I add music and cuts and B-roll and slow motion and stuff, it's crazy how you can shape a video in post. Like it's all in post.
And bro, you know, I mean, music, having sound, you know, like the sound effects to your video, it's one of the most important things I've learned that, you know, that, once you start adding music, stuff like that, but you add sound effects to everything that you're doing, it just takes you. It's like you know, it's it kind of touches emotionally more for the viewer, because then they almost feel like they're there, and that's kind of like the whole concept. Like, can you make the viewer feel like they're almost there, right? Depending on what type of video you're watching, but that alone, I'm sure for the videos that you've recorded for travel and stuff like that, having all the background sounds and everything else like that, you know, when you're going to places, I'm sure it's. I just get excited, you know, just trying to think about that, because it's pretty cool to record all that, and on top of that, you're teaching people how to travel, how to do this, and all that good stuff. I'm sure it's you know, at least for me, right? It's one of those things that is super important, and sometimes I think people don't necessarily understand it.
Right. Yeah. Well, I carry 2 wireless mics with me. Cool. One with a lav, and then the other one I will just have like on the camera. That way I'm capturing like my surroundings. Smart. But then I also try to match the music with like the mood that I'm in, or like the surroundings. So like jungly music when I'm in the jungle, and you can hear the actual jungle sounds on top of that.
So when was it that you actually, because so you did software development.
Okay, yeah, I think we might have
we went way off track. It got exciting here. So you did the software developing 9 years. Right. You quit your job, cold turkey, right?
Yeah, cold turkey. Basically, it was.
When was that?
This was in May of last year.
Okay, so recent.
Yeah.
And then where do you go from there? You get out of debt, right? By this time, you're already out of debt. Everything's cool.
Yeah, I was out of debt. I had a lot of savings. And
cool.
Thank God, because I couldn't have done this if it wasn't for all of the stuff I had done already.
Yeah.
So I had some money saved up, and I was able to fund myself. And now I bought a house. That was one of my big goals.
Congrats, man. That is big.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. So I bought a house, and I still was able to pay my mortgage and leave my job for an extended period of months. And I was like, now's the time. Yeah. I need to travel. I need to go pursue and like see the world. And the funny thing is, like, now that I have, I'm like, well, I just want to go more.
Well,
but anyway, yeah. So I decided this is the best time when I'm between jobs that I can go see the world. And because I have all this stuff I've done with my finance YouTube, why don't I go and make a travel YouTube? That'll give me like some kind of purpose while I'm there. It'll give me challenges and stuff to learn. And I didn't realize what I was getting into, but this turned into like a very intensive creative thing, because I spend a lot of time thinking about each place I'm going to go. I carry a ton of gear around. So
how was that? Because I've traveled and I've carried gear, but I don't ever like try to carry everything, because it becomes a little bit of a hassle. But I mean, for you, you had a plan, which was recording everything. So how was that?
It was a learning experience, that's for sure. I'm getting better at it. But the actual gear itself is getting, I'm rethinking all of it. Like at first I started with a travel backpack, and now I'm switching to a day pack that's like 4 cameras and a suitcase.
4 cameras?
Oh, no. Like that is with the popurpose of
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I have a GoPro with like a bunch of attachments on it. And then I have a A6400 like we're using over here. Yeah. But I carry that so it uses a Sigma prime lens.
Gotcha.
Neither have optical stabilization. So I'm using it on a Ronin. So this is a big thing I'm carrying around.
Yeah.
I lock up the Ronin, carry it on my side, and then when I'm ready to film, I go unlock everything, turn the mics on, turn the camera on, and I have to hold this like 20-pound thing in front of myself. So I'm walking and you see me start sweating. It's like,
yeah,
it's a lot. It's a lot to carry.
I know, trust me. I know. Yeah.
So I'm actually rethinking my gear, like my actual bags. I'm looking at that new Sony camera because it has stabilization and full frame, all that. And that should allow me to carry way less gear and just, I'm putting a lot of focus on making it more comfortable for myself because I know I'm going to continue doing it.
Yeah. So tell me, okay, you quit your job, May.
Right.
You start planning out where you're going to go.
Well, not really.
Okay.
So in May, during COVID, I had decided I wanted to go to Thailand. At the beginning of COVID.
Okay.
I bought a ticket to Thailand, and because of COVID, it got canceled. So I knew I wanted to travel, and I was like, Thailand, that's where I'm going. So I bought my one-way ticket to Thailand with no idea how long I'd be there, where I was going to go, what I was going to do. All I did is I bought my 1 plane ticket, and then I bought 3 nights in a hostel. That way I had room to settle in, kind of get used to things, take my time, not really try to do much, and just walk around and see what happens. That led to me being there for 4 months. Yeah.
Wow.
That led to 4 months where I went to Thailand, and I think Thailand is one of my favorite countries now. But I went to Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Indonesia, and Japan.
In a span of 4 months.
Right. Yeah.
With one-way ticket, not knowing when exactly you were going to come back, and just a 3-night hostel.
Yep.
All right, man. Like that's pretty exciting for lack of better wording. So
it can be really exciting to like not know where you're going to go next, but it can also be stressful.
How was the anxiety?
I had a couple times where I got very, very scared. I was just like by myself in the middle of the night. I'd like come in from a bar or something with my backpack on, just like, what am I doing here? Like I'm alone in the middle of the night. Like it can be scary.
Bro, by the way, you didn't go with anybody else. You just went. It was solo travel.
Solo travel. Just flew over there alone. I don't know anyone. I didn't know anyone over there at the time. But yeah, I just went over there alone and was like, I'm an extroverted person.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to talk to people.
I think your whole family is extroverted for the most part.
I agree with that.
I met, so
yeah, I agree with that.
But man, that's crazy. My brother, again, my brother, whole Europe. He actually studied 1 year in Berlin to finish his major in German because he's like sociology and German major. So he went to Berlin 1 whole year. He traveled to like an insane amount of countries. It was like 30-some European countries. One, because it was so cheap, I guess, to fly in between countries. And this was on a student budget. Right.
Wow.
So think about that. And he made tons of friends. Like he keeps saying that the experiences that he gets out of traveling, it's just something that's unparalleled to anything else that, he's experienced anywhere else, because the cultures that you learn from, the people that you meet. So it's just really exciting to learn all the foods, which is
the food.
big thing for anybody, right? Yeah. So all those things I'm sure were exciting for you going to Asia.
Yeah.
But why Asia?
I think what I look for as fun is different. To me, Asia, and first of all, I had been to Ireland. That was my first solo trip. I had been around Europe. I had been to Australia for work, actually. But I hadn't really touched Asia that much. My sister and I went 5 years before that to Japan and the Philippines.
Cool.
But there was still it's such a big place that's very, very different from here.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the culture. Like the culture is so dramatically different over there. First of all, the foods. Oh my gosh. I'm a big food guy.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how cheap. I would wake up in the morning and leave my hotel room, and I would walk outside, and there'd be like an old woman who would sell me a plate full of pad thai and some like egg rolls, and like a water or something, and it would cost me like $1.
Wow.
Now that's on like the cheaper end, but it's all still super cheap.
Right. So it's, and I'm sure it was tasty.
Oh gosh, so good, so good. Yeah. One interesting thing though, specifically about Thai food though, is the Thai government actually they wanted people to come travel to Thailand. So a long time ago, they funded a program where they sent Thai people all over the world to different countries to open up restaurants to introduce the world to Thai food.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
I don't actually know, but I've heard that from a few different people in Thailand.
That's a really smart initiative. Yeah.
So when you go to a Thai restaurant, typically the quality is as good as Thai food in Thailand because they did that intentionally.
Really?
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. But what you won't find there is something that I don't know why I'm getting into this, but I want to try everything. And I just ended up eating a lot of bugs and like weird sea animals. Like I ate a live squid. I've eaten a tarantula. Let's see. Some like larva, like living larva.
Yeah.
I ate a cockroach, which is like my greatest fear, man. It was not alive, but the biting into a cockroach is like a whole thing.
Yeah, I bet. That's crazy. But I mean, you said it yourself, right? If it's different, then
gotta try
that's
it.
Fun for you and exciting.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. So you ate a cockroach. I don't think I'm gonna let that one down.
Gosh.
Like you ate a cockroach.
Yeah.
Dead.
Okay. Check this out. So I had built up to that. I started off, you walk through like these like touristy streets and there's a cart with all these different bugs. And I'm like, holy shit, I need to try some, but there's some I'm for sure not going to do. Like what is happening, right? So the first thing I tried was a scorpion. And there's a lady with like all these scorpions on little skewers.
Dead, right?
Dead.
Okay.
Now I tried it. I had to build up courage and I was like, I got this. Ate it. And I was like, that wasn't so bad. It was kind of like hollow. And it was like you're eating like a shell, like just the skin or something.
Was it tasty at all?
It was actually pretty good. It was like salty.
Yeah.
They'd put something on it and it was salty. It was like oily and salty. Yeah. Pretty good. From there, I tried the tarantula, which was the same thing. It was like hollow, mostly hollow.
Yeah.
A little more content to it, but it was fuzzy.
That's what I was going to ask. That it still has some hair.
Yeah, it still had hair on it. And that like the whatever way they cooked it, it didn't take all the hair off. So that was like a next level. Then I tried the cockroach and I thought it would be hollow, dude.
How big was it, bro?
Like that?
Whoa, like one of those
Pretty big. But it had some girth, man. It was a real cockroach. And when I bit into that thing, it was not hollow. I had to like it had meat in there, so I had to like rip it off.
Actual meat.
Yeah, dude. It was gross. I had a couple drinks in me, so it was like that helped me like deal with what I was doing. But yeah,
you're talking about like what, like the size of a what would that be, like a little avocado or something like that? Like
smaller than an avocado.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe like the length of a finger, but wider.
Yeah.
And I ate it in multiple bites. So
they cook it and they get, because I've squished roaches and they're like gooey inside, like all that white stuff, right?
Yeah.
So when they cook it, that turns into meat?
This took away the gooiness. And instead there's just a lot of stuff. So it was like, it wasn't easy to bite through. So I had to like bite and rip.
It's like a crab. You know how crabs are kind of like liquid if you like break them while they're alive or whatever happens to like gooey stuff inside, right?
I feel like the way they cooked it, I feel like a crab is probably a good comparison, but I feel like the way they cooked it got rid of all the moisture.
Oh.
So it's like a crab, but if it was dried out or something.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
So gross.
Did you ever try the what's it called? The 1,000-year-old egg or whatever it's called?
I haven't seen them.
No.
Yeah, the century eggs, right?
Yeah.
I've actually tried that in the States.
Okay.
But I have never tried. I've never seen it.
You didn't do it over there.
abroad.
Yeah. I had a friend who went to Thailand and he was like, yeah, like him and his girlfriend had tried it and it was like nasty stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty gross.
If I see one, I'll definitely try it now.
I'm sure you will. Yeah. Cool. So, all right, man. You traveled a good chunk of Asia, spent four months out there.
Yeah.
Tell me about the people you met, man. Like, I want to know more about the culture and all that stuff that you learned out there. Maybe something that, again, being so different from what it is here. What were some big aha moments in regards to that?
So I'll speak specifically to Thailand for now because each country is very different.
Yeah.
And like the people are different, the culture is different. I learned that in Thailand, people are just friendly, but they're happy.
Okay.
And that was the thing. It was like, this is sort of a like more third world country, but I think they're way happier than Americans. And that like blew my mind. I was like, why are they happy? And they appreciate life in a different way.
Okay.
And I know I'm like kind of generalizing right now, but this is over a span of going from different like places in Thailand, dealing with a lot of different people, and other travelers that I met along the way. They all felt the same. And this is just something that I was like, wow, it really taught me a lot about how to appreciate the life that I have and just how to be happy with the things that I have living here.
Yeah.
If I continue to live here.
Right.
But dude, the people are amazing. I would kind of alternate between a hostel because it's good for meeting people. There's sometimes like bars built in, super fun, but I never stop partying and I never get any work done if I stay there. So I'd alternate between there and a hotel.
Got it.
But I found myself in Chiang Rai and I met a girl. And
in Thailand.
In Thailand. And now I'm in a relationship.
What?
I was always like, long distance relationships, they don't work. And now I'm in like the longest possible distance relationship.
That's crazy. How far into the trip did you meet her?
So I met her about, I think a little over a month in.
Okay.
I had gone to Chiang Rai to check out some of the temples. And then I met her and we had like basically a date, but it was like at a restaurant, we had a meal and both of us, like she knew I was traveling. I didn't really think it could ever turn into anything. Like, why would I get in a relationship when I want to jump around country to country and do all my stuff?
Yeah.
Right. But I liked her a lot. She's so let me tell you about her. Her name's Krishna.
Okay.
She is the same age as me.
Okay.
We're both, I guess, well, she's slightly older. She's 34. I'm 33 right now. And she used to be a nurse, a pediatric nurse. So she knows like health stuff. But she was really stressed from like working in a hospital and seeing all the patients and all that stuff. And she actually decided to leave that and switch to gardening, which is something that she was very passionate about. So I actually really admired that. And I was like, that's similar to what I recently have done, but I'm still figuring out what's next. So she switched to gardening, turned that into a gardening business. And now she's selling plants and she ships them all over Thailand and then takes that and starts making videos out of it. So in Thailand, Facebook is very popular, similar to like how YouTube is here.
Gotcha.
And now she has 154,000 followers and she makes the majority of her money from Facebook instead of her gardening business.
Wow.
It's wild, man. It's wild.
How crazy.
Yeah. And I was like, this is similar to what I'm kind of like working on right now, but just all the things that she did, like she applies the things she learned as a nurse to the health benefits of the plants that she's selling. Like, if your kid has this problem, well, you should consider doing these things. It's like, I really admire that. So
there's a connection there that she's been able to establish in regards, but it has to do with plants, with the knowledge that she has when she was a nurse.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's actually pretty wild.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, now basically, I didn't think anything could happen, but I really like this girl. So I was like, well, I need to continue my travels. I left and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I want to go see her again. So I left, went to Cambodia for a few weeks, and I was like, okay, I need to see you again to see what this is.
Yeah.
Went back to Chiang Rai, spent like 3 weeks living with her.
Okay.
Her parents are awesome. They're like making sure I'm eating well. And
yeah.
They get mad at her if I say I'm hungry and like I don't have food in front of me. They're amazing.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, right. Yeah. They're all amazing. They all are very welcoming to me and treat me very well. But like they're cool people. They're teaching me a lot, like not just about like the things they're doing, because they're teaching me a lot about just like gardening and like making things. It's really cool. But just about like life and how to be happy with like what you have. It's really cool.
Whoa. So, I mean, going into a relationship long distance with a girl that you met in your travels, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then obviously she feels the same way about you because, you know, she's letting you live with her, right? For those 3 weeks to kind of see everything went well throughout those 3 weeks.
Everything was awesome. And we decided like, we need to keep going.
Cool.
We need to see what this turns into. So I left, basically I left and went to southern Thailand and actually had some friends meet up with me. And then after that, I went back to her a third time. And this time I stayed for like a month.
Cool.
And then after that, she and I traveled together down to Indonesia. And we went to Bali and the Gili Islands and we did all this stuff together. And basically I spent more and more time with her and it turned into like, okay, this needs to become a thing. So now here's where I'm at. So I came home because my travel fund was getting low.
Yeah.
And I need to figure out a new source of income. But I want to keep like seeing what happens with this girl, with Krishna. And so basically my plan right now is I came home to get a job. I start in 2 days.
Yeah, April 24th,
which
right?
I'm super, I'm super excited for that. And I want to save up some money. One of the big perks about being a software engineer is you get to work anywhere, right? So I've worked from home the last 3 years, so I can work from anywhere, except for the caveat that I have a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
And now instead of being an engineering manager, I'm switching to a software engineer, fewer meetings. Now I can actually go to Thailand, continue working, all that stuff.
So it kind of checks everything off the list in order for you to be able to continue having this relationship. And then, you know, because you want to go over there now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure where I want to like home base
Yeah.
or if I even will have a home base. But it does allow me to be extremely flexible.
Yeah.
And like, but it's also what I love doing. I love programming so much that like an 8-hour day will go by and I just don't want to stop.
Yeah.
I have to like check myself. Like I have to force work-life balance on myself because other people tell me to stop working and I just want to keep going.
That's how much you like it.
Yeah, I love it. It's like figuring a problem out, you know, it's fun for me.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, if you, it's a good problem to have, to be honest with you.
Sure.
Obviously, you know, if you have somebody to kind of like tell you, hey, you know, make sure that you turn it off and, you know, enjoy your life at some point, right?
Yeah.
It's good, but it's a good thing to have that you have that passion for it, for something that you're doing. And, you know, I mean, and the great thing about it is it does pay well. Right.
Yeah,
it gives you the flexibility that you need, especially in this type of situation where you're still trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's fantastic, man. Like I'm so stoked for you, to be honest with you.
Thanks, dude.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I don't actually know what it's going to turn into, but I think I have a pretty good idea. We're talking about the whole like, how do you deal with marriages and visas and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
And we're going to probably test that out and figure out like, because if we were to get married in Thailand, she still can't come to America for like over a year.
Really?
But I might end up getting married in the next like month or two.
Whoa, man. It's going to be that quick, huh?
Yeah. I mean, once I get there, I don't see a reason to wait.
Yeah.
We're crazy about each other.
That's cool.
But we're also have like a professional understanding about the fact that we also want to start the clock. And we're still like learning about each other. But we're on the same page with all of that. So we want to make sure that if it does work out, then she'll be able to come to America sooner. If it doesn't, then we'll have a plan for what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what though, man? I mean, at 30s, right? I mean, you've already done a bunch of stuff that I'm sure you wanted to do, you know, like travel and go party. And, you know, you had the college experience, I'm sure, and all that good stuff. If she's your age too, I'm sure she's already kind of gone through that part. It's like you already know what you want, right?
Yeah.
At this point in life.
I honestly, I've known that for years.
Yeah.
I have known that I've done, like there's plenty I want to do.
Yeah.
But one of my biggest desires is to get married and have a family.
No, I hear you, man. I wouldn't trade anything for my family, you know, for my wife and my kids. It's the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. And having that, you know, something that's, you know, your own family is just, I don't know how to describe it, man. It's just something that's amazing. I'm for it. There's some people that don't want to have kids,
sure.
But even having a partner, even having somebody that you can share all these things with, you know, my wife is my best friend and I love her for just, we're so dorky with each other. We're always goofing around, you know, and now that we both get to work from home, we get to spend a lot of time together, but it's so much fun, man. Like it's just so cool. It's, and again, you know, like I kind of previously mentioned off camera to you that when I was working in the financial industry, I was there for 8 hours. And then, you know, this almost was like a second home to me, you know, and the bank was the first home because of the time I was spending there so much, you know, and now that I have that time that we were talking about at the beginning, right? That commodity that I have my own time to spend more time with my family, with my wife, with my kids. Oh man, I wouldn't trade it for the world at all. And so I understand where you're coming with everything that you're trying to do now, traveling, still being able to, you know, have some money come in, right? Because you're trying to also potentially start this side hustle with the YouTube channel and monetizing that part, and then having a partner and at some point starting a family.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for you, man, to see what the future holds, because it's just, you know, and obviously you're an interesting person. Your whole family is, to be honest with you.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, you have so many things going for you. It's just kind of exciting to see where everything's gonna lead to. You know?
Yeah, I'm excited too.
yeah. So if people want to follow you for your content and stuff like that, on YouTube, it's at WhereisBrad, right? Yep. Just all together at WhereisBrad.
At WhereisBrad, all one word.
Cool. And then on Instagram?
Same thing, but it's at WhereisBrad, or sorry, WhereisBrad_.
underscore. Okay, perfect. And I'll post them on you know, for people that are actually watching the video, I'll make sure that I'll post it there. And I'll tag you so that way you can, you know, people, if they're more interested in it. But again, if people are watching this and they want to ask questions to Brad, you'd be more than willing to, you know, answer those questions about your travels and anything else that, you know, people, you know, just wonder about, right?
Yeah, I love talking about it. I geek out on all this stuff in such detail that I just feel the need to share it. Yeah. So I love talking about finance. I mean, we didn't even talk about like fitness and health and stuff because I went on this huge diet thing and like I have a gym in my garage. There's like all this stuff that I really geek out about and I love talking about it. So if anyone wants to talk about it,
I told your brother, because with your brother, we were on such a good flow. We spoke for like an hour and a half and I think I had to cut some stuff out, but he was like, maybe Brad and I need to come together and we need to have like a second version. And I was like, you know what, man, like it might be a good idea. So now that you're mentioning and that we've met and everything, you know, I think we're definitely going to have to bring you and Justin back. Yeah.
That would be really fun. I love it.
Cool, man. Well, is there anything else you want to share before we kind of wrap it up here?
Let's see. Yeah, I guess just follow your passions. If there's anything that I'm interested in, I just pursue it all the way. And that's only brought me good things. So that's what I would encourage everyone else to do.
Love it, man. Well, thanks so much for being a part of this, for you know, being here and giving your time. But super, super excited to see what happens with you over the next month. I mean, if you're gonna get married, congrats ahead of time, you know. Thank you. But yeah, definitely follow WhereisBrad so that we can kind of continue to see your journey.
Yeah, you can find out where I am.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, dude. Really appreciate your time, man.
Thank you too.